back to Midlife Good Life. I'm Tim, and this is
Susan. So today we're driving down the road. I'm driving, they're riding, and we're just thinking about the places that we've lived, and maybe we'll start a new little series of episodes every once in a while about places that we've lived and things we love about them, things we would miss about them if we don't live there anymore, or didn't if we moved, and things that were just unique about those places. And today maybe we'll talk about South Florida. About South Florida. Is that a good
Love
choice?
South Florida.
Okay. I lived there twice. I lived there as a little girl, from like 3 to 11 in Hialeah, and then I lived there again once we were married, and both the kids were born there and everything, and that was with you.
Which was more fun, living there as a little girl or being married to me?
That is a really tough question. I think I plead the fifth. I can't really answer that. So why don't you start? Something, like we can start with love. Like, what do we love about?
Oh, we loved living in South Florida, and I think one of the things that we had to love the most about living in South Florida was, well, several things. We loved the food. We loved Cuban food, some black beans, some rice, the palomilla steak, the ropa vieja. Just
Chicken,
loved eating Cuban food.
We can name like at least 6 Cuban restaurants that were like our favorite and were meaningful to us.
I think I still have them in my contact list on my phone.
It makes me really hungry for Cuban food. So, I think we also loved, which I kind of just mentioned before, I shouldn't have said it, but that both of our kids were born in South Florida. That was a big deal. Adam was born in Miami, Kendall, at Baptist Hospital in Miami, and Ashley was born in Hollywood. She is a star. She's always been a star. She was born in Hollywood, at Memorial East Hospital in Hollywood.
The Joe DiMaggio's Children's Hospital. Speaking of Joe DiMaggio, I loved living in South Florida because on a regular basis I got to go to Marlins games. Since nobody goes to Marlins games, the tickets were really, really cheap, and would love to go there on a summer afternoon and watch a little baseball.
I think I didn't really go to a lot of the baseball games. I would stay home either with Adam when Dad and Tim would go to the baseball games, or Tim and Adam would go to the baseball games, and I would always know they were on their way home because the blimp, the giant blimp, Goodyear blimp, would go over our house when the games were done, and so I knew the game was done, so they would be home soon. So hey, there's another thing that was very unique. I don't know if I loved it. It didn't really matter to me, but it was unique about living in South Florida. I think a really unique thing too was the languages. I mean, we lived in places with Haitian neighborhoods, we lived in places with Hispanic neighborhoods, we lived in places with Creole. I guess maybe that was Haitian. I don't know, just the diversity.
Just the sounds, the accents, the sounds were just fabulous. We loved living in that kind of diversity with that kind of languages. We loved going to different churches that would have congregations of different ethnicities and nationalities. It was such a rich place to live because of that diversity, and it was normal, it was expected. It was just one of the great things.
It also makes me think, it reminds me that we have lived in a lot of places with a lot of accents. They have not all been the same accent, which we can talk about in a different day, but if you follow these vlogs about where we've lived, just pay attention that clearly we've lived in places with a lot of accents. These accents were Hispanic, Haitian, Creole, French accents, a lot of that.
South Florida is also a huge metropolis. How did you like living in a big city with big city traffic and all of that?
I don't think I thought too much of it at the time because that's just where we'd always lived and how we'd always lived in big cities. Since then, we've lived in much smaller places, and I think there's pros and cons to both of it. I mean, it takes me 5 minutes to get to Walmart now, and it would take me like 25 minutes to get to Walmart then. So, I know you really like that though.
I did.
I love the traffic.
I don't love traffic in itself, but I love the intensity of the metropolis and a large urban center. There's just something about the intensity that I just really, really enjoy.
Yeah.
When you think back to some of our adventures in South Florida, anything come to mind?
So I'm thinking too that when we lived in South Florida, we didn't live in like the best best neighborhoods there because the cost of living was really expensive. So we lived in kind of sometimes a scary neighborhood. I don't think I was ever scared of the neighborhood, but
They wouldn't deliver pizza to our neighborhood.
that's true. They would not deliver pizza, but I don't think I was ever afraid. So except for the time that I kept Adam home on Halloween night and he was a newborn, and you had some meeting at church and our house got egged because I wouldn't open the door. But otherwise, at that house, people would always ask me, well, where do you live? Like at the school that I worked at, you know, they would say, where do you live? And I never really wanted, I was pretty embarrassed about the address and the area that we lived in because people would say, oh, you live there?
I think we told people a couple of times where we lived, and all the oxygen in the room got sucked
The
out.
reaction was not great. So I just began to tell people that we lived by the beach because it was Fort Lauderdale and we lived closer to the beach than you did if you lived in Ocala.
If you think about the North American continent, yes, we lived very close to the beach.
Yes. So I think that was just something that I really haven't lived down. And if you ever want to give real exaggeration to something or point your finger and say you're really over telling your story and it's great exaggeration, you just say, oh, like living at the beach. We were probably within a mile of the beach though, actually.
Yeah, 3 or 4 miles, but yeah.
Yeah, so that was our South Florida experience. It was great.
I remember my 30th birthday, we went to Key Biscayne and National Park there and just kind of wandered around, and they had these 4-wheel bicycle things where we put the kids like in a basket in the front or something, and you and your mom sat in the back and your dad and I sat in the front, and we had to pedal, and we rented it for 30 minutes. And so we pedaled out for about 15 minutes and then realized if we didn't want to pay extra, we had to pedal back. But what we did not take into
And it
account...
wasn't cheap. It wasn't like, oh, $10 for your 30 minutes. It was a bunch.
What we did not take into account is how much more tired we would be in the second 15 minutes.
Yeah.
I have run 3 marathons. I don't think I was nearly as winded, as worn out as trying to get that 4-wheel bicycle back.
Did you guys ever get out and push us at some point?
Oh goodness, I don't know, but it was it was tough.
The kids thought it was great though.
Yeah, I see pictures. I see pictures of that and still remember that day pretty well.
Yeah. I remember all the times we used to go fishing when Adam was little, and I know you love fishing, but I have lots of pictures of you sitting there with a newspaper, reading the newspaper while the rest of us fished, because that was really not your thing.
Yes, when you say love, you mean endured because I loved you.
Mint chocolate chip ice cream.
Yeah. Which sometimes we would double up with, fishing and mint chocolate chip ice cream.
That was like your favorite days of the year, wasn't it? And then the next day was your birthday and we made you go ride this bike.
Well, those are some of our memories from living in South Florida. Maybe some of you remember us from living in South Florida or wish that we lived in South Florida today. Wait, I don't know what that meant.
So, yeah, we love South Florida. We lived there